Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host, your friend, your coach. Today, I have another great guest with absolutely fascinating story. The one and only Angela Youello. She's originally from the Philadelphia area, but been based in Greece, beautiful Greece. She went there on a vacation, and then she fell in love with the place. And then finally, this year in January, best time to leave the north. She moved. She made the move for good, and now she's living a very difficult life. She has the sea, the beach just on the front yard. Tough life, eh?
It is, but we do the best we can with what we have.
Absolutely. We're not complaining, right? Especially the winter months. Not far from you, I'm from Toronto, and me being here in Asia, it's one of the reasons I left is because I think I've paid my dues when it comes to shoveling snows and long winters.
That far north, you definitely paid your dues.
Absolutely. So, tell us, Angela, we're going to talk about. Oh, and one thing that really stood out and really caught my attention about you is that you're a vet, not just any type of vet, but probably one of the most specialized and fascinating types of vets. And that is a vet for senior dogs, because you were not happy with the way your first dog was treated. And then you said, you know what? Time for me to step in and help other senior dogs. So that's something. One thing I love about my podcast is that I learn about things I thought I knew, but more importantly, about things I had no idea even existed. So when Christine initially told me that you're a vet for senior dogs, I said, what? Is that even a thing? I was like, blown. I said, I need to connect with her. So please, I had to literally harass her for 2 months to connect us. And finally, because she's busy, and finally she did. And we had a beautiful call, like what, a month ago? And anyways, we're here today. So welcome to the show, my friend. It's a pleasure having you today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, Payman.
Pleasure's all mine. So we're gonna talk about your business and all the beautiful impact you're having later on. But first, for people who don't know you, tell us, who's Angela as a human being and as a woman?
Well, I'm a mom of four. I have four children, two dogs and a cat, and I am a veterinarian by profession. And by passion, I'm focusing on senior dogs. When my own first dog was a senior, his medical care was good, but I just felt overwhelmed by his, I wasn't sure if his quality of life was as good as I wanted it to be. And that was a really difficult experience for me because I loved him so much and I wanted him to be happy. And I just didn't know even how to tell if he was. And that really influenced me to become a veterinarian so that I could help other people navigate that same time in their dogs' lives and also be more prepared to take care of my own dogs.
Beautiful. So prior to that, you were not a vet prior to that?
No, prior to that, actually, I went to grad school for research science, basically. I have a degree in immunology and I did bench research for years.
Mm,
And then I was almost finished with my PhD when I decided that what I really love is dogs. And that's when Casey was a senior, and I decided that I was going to go to vet school instead. So I finished my degree, briefly did some postdoctoral research, and then started vet school at Penn.
beautiful. We're gonna talk about all of that later on. But first, what I'd like to start with is to ask you a series of rapid fire questions to further get to know you as a person. Ready?
All right. Yep, I'm ready.
All right, Angela, what makes you happy?
Oh my gosh. Dogs, the beach, coffee, and good books.
Oh wow, love that. Now, what makes you smile?
My kids, dogs, and being outside.
Especially on the front yard, right? On the beach.
Yes.
Wow. Now, let's take the happiness factor a couple of notches higher. What makes you come alive, sets your soul on fire, and makes your heart sing?
Um, I think that would be helping people understand that there are so many simple things they can do at home to help their senior dog be healthier and
Mhm.
happier and have a better quality of life for longer. So many people don't just don't realize that there are so many simple changes they can make. And it's like a light bulb going off when they see how many options there are and how effective they can be. And that just knowing that that many dogs are going to have a better life is amazing.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Now, what what uh what scares you?
Oh gosh, what scares me? Um, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think very much scares me. I would say, uh, I mean, I'm a mom. I worry about my kids, of course. Um, and I guess I worry about missing opportunities to have an impact. I feel like
Hmm.
I'm in a position to help a lot of people and a lot of dogs and not not going for it enough, not connecting with enough people to get them the information that they need. And having senior dogs that don't have the quality of life that they should have because I didn't do enough.
Awesome. Now, what makes you sad and angry?
Um, well, a lot of what's going on in the world today makes me
Mm-hmm.
sad and angry. There's a lot of pain and suffering and cruelty in the world today, both toward humans and toward animals. There's a
Yeah,
lot of neglect. There are a lot of people that just don't have the opportunities that they deserve. And that makes me sad.
I'm completely with you. Absolutely, absolutely. Now, what would you say is your personal number one personal superpower?
My personal superpower or my veterinary superpower?
Your personal.
I think
Actually, you know
my
what?
personal
Actually, you know what? Both. Starting first with your personal.
I think my personal superpower is understanding where someone is coming from and being able to explain complicated concepts in a way that make them more accessible. And my veterinary superpower, well, I think I have two veterinary superpowers. One of them is cool, the other one is kind of lame, honestly, but I'll tell you both of them. The cooler one
Okay.
is noticing when senior dogs are doing things that are very subtle indicators of chronic pain so that I can help their families give them relief when they need it. That's the cool one. The
Wait, time out,
lame
time
one,
out, time out, time out, time out. Like what? I'm curious. Like what?
well, there are a lot, actually. There are a lot of very subtle signs of pain that often get missed. There
Mm,
are behavioral changes, things that are as small as when a dog is sitting down and they go to stand up, they'll kind of stand partway up, and then there's this hesitation before they stand up the rest of the way. Often that's pain.
mm,
They used to jump up and down from the couch or the bed, and now they still do it, but they kind of think about it for a couple seconds before. And it can be a very brief hesitation, but they used to, just trot up and then jump right onto the couch. And now, like, you can see them weigh for a second, is it worth it? Or they're kind of
mm.
like gathering themselves to jump. Um, Subtle areas of muscle tension, especially along the spine, is often a secondary issue when dogs have pain in their back legs, their hips, their knees. They'll have tension in their paraspinal muscles because of the different way that they're moving. And a lot of times those dogs are not doing anything that is an overt, obvious indicator of pain. They're not limping, they're not vocalizing, they don't react when they're touched, but there are these subtle things that I can see that tell me that they're having discomfort.
Fascinating, fascinating. It's also fascinating how that sometimes that behavior can also mirror us humans. Like for example, younger we can do things, jumping, but now we have to think twice about some jumps or some, especially when playing sports.
Oh, I have hurt my neck just rolling over the wrong way in bed, like getting up in the
Yes.
morning. So yes, I absolutely agree with you there.
And so that was the cool one. What was the other one?
Okay, the lame one is
Why are you calling it
Diagnosing.
lame? It's not lame. There's no skill that
It
is
is.
lame.
It's a really like if I was going to be able to pick a superpower, this would not be it. It is um diagnosing ear infections as incidental findings on otherwise routine exams. Like the dog comes in for a wellness checkup, or they come in for a completely unrelated problem, and I notice that they have an ear infection. That happens to me multiple times, almost every day. And yeah, that's, I mean, it's good for the dog that they get treatment, prompt treatment for their ear infection, but like, couldn't I be have 100% success rate at CPR or something cooler than just finding
Hey,
early ear
that's a
infection?
beautiful gift as well for the dog owners, and for yourself as well, and for the universe. Awesome. Now, what is one thing that you used to value that you don't value anymore?
Um, I used to be very academically ambitious. I mean, I spent most of my life in school. I went to a rigorous science and engineering college. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in molecular biology. Then I went to graduate school and did a PhD in immunology. And then when I went to vet school, I thought I would probably specialize in oncology, which is a subspecialty of internal medicine in the veterinary world, and hopefully join the faculty of a vet school and do bench research and teach and all of those things. And um, somewhere along the way, I discovered that I would rather have less professional drive and more time to spend with my family. Um, I didn't grow up wanting kids. I actually was adamant my whole life that I was never going to have kids. And my family used to say, "Oh, just wait. You just haven't met the right person yet." And I would get so mad because how did they know better than I knew myself? It was very offensive. And then I met my husband and I was like, huh, yeah, I guess they were right. I just hadn't met the right person yet. So we had our first child while I was in vet school because I was going to be in my mid 30s by the time I graduated. And then I was planning to do an internship and a residency. And I figured, we're not going to have time for the next few years. We should at least start our family now. So Harrison was born between my third and fourth year in vet school. And it was just so hard to spend time
Mm,
away from him. And I missed out on a lot of things when he was a baby because I was either working all kinds of crazy hours on clinical rotations or at my first job. And yeah, I found that did not, I I feel like a lot of my ambition kind of
mm.
cooled off, and instead I began to care a lot more about having time to spend with my family.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, what is one thing that you did not value before that you're now valuing more and more? You can't answer that, but if there's something else you want to add to that,
Um, Something that I did not used to value that I value now.
more and more, yes.
I think I think it's time, honestly. And this is probably going to sound a little bit cliched because I think that probably everybody goes through this as we get older, but time used to seem infinite,
Mhm.
like I was never going to run out of it. And so I could afford to spend it doing all these, professional things. And now my kids are growing up so fast, like alarmingly quickly. And there's going to be a day not far at all in the future that they're all grown up and have their own completely independent lives. And I don't want to look back and realize that I missed out. So I value the
Mhm.
ability to just have slow down and be more present and have more time with them. And I don't think that's something that I really cared about before I had kids.
Beautiful, makes total sense. Now, what would you say are your three non-negotiable core values?
My three non-negotiable core values.
Yes.
Okay. Integrity, um, honesty, And I think probably just empathy and kindness together for the
Mm,
third one.
love that. Love that. Now, thank you for these. That's beautiful. You enjoy traveling, don't you?
Yes, I love to travel.
I can see that. Me and you, we can do an entire, not an episode, but an entire podcast just on traveling, but we're going to leave that for another time. But for now, I'd like to take you down a different type of traveling, down memory line. Go back to when you're growing up. You know, when we're kids, people around us, family, relatives, teachers, neighbors, friends always ask us, "Hey, Angela, what do you want to become when you grow up?" What was your answer to that as a little girl?
Oh, the answer to that changed a lot of times. I think my first serious career aspiration was to be a ballerina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I actually trained seriously for years to do classical ballet. Um, I was riding my bike to ballet class when I was 14, and I was making a left turn on a green light, and a car coming out of a parking lot was hurrying to make it through the light and didn't see me in the intersection on my bicycle and hit me, and it messed up my right knee. It's fine now. Like it's a little bit more crackly than my left knee, but I've run marathons on it and everything since then. It's functional.
Mm.
But it took me out of dancing for at least a couple of years. And um, by the time it was recovered enough that I could have danced again, I was old enough that I felt like that window had closed. Ballet is, it's something you have to very serious about when you're young to really progress professionally.
Mhm.
And in the meantime, I discovered that I loved science. And so my life went in a completely different direction.
Sure. So, growing up, what was your relationship with school? Did you love school or did you hate school?
Okay, this is going to sound a little strange, but I hated school growing up. um, because it was extremely boring. I went to
Yes.
Catholic school. And this was back in the 1980s, and there were no honors classes, there were no like levels. Everyone in the class did the same work at the
Oh,
same
yeah.
pace all day long, and I was really bored. And I loved to read. So we had these, the old-fashioned desks where you could like put your books inside the desk. I would prop a book in my like up in my desk, sitting in my lap, so that I could read my story after I was done with my regular work. And the teachers used to confiscate my books all the time and tell me to at least pretend to be paying attention. And yeah, I did not appreciate that at all.
You know what? I used to do that too with books, with
Really?
magazines, football magazines, football, soccer magazines. I grew up in France. So,
Hmm.
yes, I think this was common for kids and probably still is common for kids around the world. Maybe nowadays they're doing it with tablets, but before it was with books and magazines. Yes, yes, yes. Funny, funny. So, when you were in school, what was your favorite subject?
Um, Probably math when I was in elementary school and even in high school. So high school I liked a lot more. I went to a much smaller school. It was a girls' school for high school. Um, it was a lot more academically challenging. So I enjoyed that a lot more. But yeah, I think all through elementary school and even through high school, either math or science. I
And what?
loved biology. I loved physics.
Cool. Were there any subject that you could not stand at all?
Um, that I couldn't stand.
Or you didn't like?
No, I don't think there were any you know what? Ironically, maybe gym, which isn't really a subject, but
Really? Wow. Okay.
I have terrible hand-eye coordination. Like I can run, swim, bike, whatever, but if it's a sport involving a ball, forget it. So I was embarrassingly horrible at anything like basketball, volleyball, baseball, all the games that you
Yeah.
play in PE as a kid. And I just used to dread PE because it was so embarrassing.
Okay. Okay. Now imagine that we were in the same class in grade 10 or grade 11. What kind of student were you back then? Were you the shy one, the nerdy one, the quiet one, the chatterbox, the superstar? Who were you back then?
I was the shy, nerdy, quiet one for sure.
Okay. Now, were you popular with the boys in school?
No, not really. And I went to a girls' school, so it like all my classmates were girls. We had a like an exchange program with a boys' school in the neighborhood, and they would come over for concert choir in the morning, but most of the day it was just girls.
How about in college?
In college, more so. The school that I went to at the time was, since it was a science and engineering school, this was back in the 90s. Um, it was a sort of male predominant school. Um, but yeah, I would say in college, probably more of my friends were guys, but I was not,
Mhm.
a social butterfly at any point in my adolescence.
How did you meet your husband?
My husband and I met, so I was still in graduate school, working on my PhD. I was applying to vet school. I had, Casey was a senior at that point. I was trying to take care of him. I actually was volunteering at a rescue shelter in our neighborhood.
Sorry,
So I would go there.
Casey was your first dog.
Casey was my first dog. Yeah, my senior
So she
dog
can
that
follow
started me
you.
on this
Okay.
path.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. So he was a senior. I had already gone through the overwhelm and uncertainty and anticipatory grief of him being elderly and, desperately wanting him to have the best possible life and not knowing how to make that happen. So I had applied to vet school, and I was volunteering a couple mornings a week at a rescue shelter in my neighborhood. And, I would go in the morning and walk the dogs before I went into lab. And I would run into, oh, I'm sorry, and the shelter shared a parking lot with a vet hospital. So I would run into the staff sometimes in the parking lot, and my husband was one of them. But the way we officially met was that I had two dogs. I had four dogs at the time. Two of them I had adopted from this rescue. And so we used the vet that was in the parking lot with the shelter for those dogs. So I was taking my dog, her name was Lusa. I had to take her to the vet. And when I called, the front desk asked if I would be willing to see the new doctor. And I said, no, I don't want to see the new doctor. I want to see Dr. Ed, who I always see. And she said, okay, fine, and scheduled my appointment. And I show up and walk in, and this guy comes in, and he looked so young. I thought he must have been a vet student that was just there, like on vet students sort of visit other hospitals and work for a couple weeks. Must have been the vet student extern, whatever. Then he started talking, and it became very obvious that he was the vet and that they had stuck me with the new vet, even though I had said no on the phone. I was so mad. That was actually how we met.
So who made the first move?
That's a good question. I don't know. We started talking. We would, like I said, we would run into each other in the parking lot. Um, I think, yeah, I don't remember. We just started talking more and more, and then we would have lunch
Uh,
together, and then yeah, I don't know.
what made him stood out and made you realize, hey, he's different?
Well, the first thing that caught my attention was that, so even though I was mad that they stuck me with the new vet after I had said I wanted to see my usual vet, I still noticed, wow, this guy has the bluest eyes I have ever seen,
Okay.
which is funny because my mother had blue eyes, so three of our kids have blue eyes, three of our four kids. Um, and then the second thing that stood out, so I also never thought I was going to get married. I didn't see the point in marriage. I thought it was, anyway, I didn't believe in getting married. Um, and I actually had been dating someone for years, and he had asked me to marry him, and I had said no. I said, I don't want to break up. Like, I'm perfectly happy together. I don't see any reason to get married. And then down the road, I ended up meeting my husband. And so the first time I met him, I was mad. I was distracted by being mad because they stuck me with the vet that I had said no, I didn't want to see him. And the second time we met, it was a completely random conversation of no significance. I just like ran over to pick up a medication for one of the dogs, I think. And we had a random conversation, and I thought, I think I'm going to marry this guy. And
Wow.
there was nothing of any big significance that made me say that. It was just a feeling.
Mm. And from that moment to when you actually got married, how much time went by?
Probably maybe 3 years.
So I guess by now you've told him that story, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Love that story.
Okay, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Awesome. Now, switching gears, what was your very first job? And do you remember how much you get paid the first time you worked in your life?
The first time I worked in my life,
Yes.
well, would you count babysitting, or do you want my first like W-2 job?
Whatever. First time that you actually worked. That can be even babysitting that works.
Okay, so my first ever job was babysitting. I was 12 years old. So this was back in 1990, and I made $2.50 an hour.
Woohoo.
Yep. And then my first like actual job, I worked at Wawa, which is a convenience store chain
Ah, okay.
along the East Coast, like mostly in the Northeast. And I think I made maybe 6.50 an hour doing that. That was in high school.
Quite an upgrade, eh? Quite a
Yeah.
quite a promotion. Well done. Do you remember what you did with your very first paycheck? What did you buy for it? Did you treat yourself? You give it to your mom, or what did you do with it?
I mean, I think my first paycheck was probably like, I don't know, $16. So I probably put it in a savings account, honestly.
Okay, that's nice. Awesome, awesome. Now, let's move forward. From the time you left school to now, how would you describe your path? Would you say it was pretty much straightforward, smooth sailing? Once you're into one lane, you were set for life? Or was it more like a turns and twists, like a roller coaster?
Um, I guess I would say kind of in the middle. It was more of like a gentle meandering. So
Okay.
I obviously didn't continue on either of the original paths. I was going to be a ballet dancer, then I was going to be a research scientist. Now I'm a veterinarian. Um, but they weren't like, except for the ballet thing, like sharp twists and turns. It kind of was a gradual evolution into this is the thing that I am more interested in and that I'm going to focus on next.
Fascinating, fascinating. Wow, fascinating, fascinating. Now, how would you describe, there's a saying that says, change your story, change your life. And by story, I mean what we tell ourselves here in our head. So when you were at some of your darkest, lowest time in your life, Angela, how did you change the story you're telling yourself to get yourself out of that funk and that hole?
Um, I think two things. One is that I've always trusted myself to
Mm,
accomplish what I set out to do. So I have a lot of confidence in my ability to just get done what needs to be done. I can, I can improve my situation when I need to. That was part of it. And the other part of it is that all my life, really, things have always truly worked out for the best, I even when they didn't work out the way I wanted them to, the thing that happened instead was even better than the thing that I was aiming for. So I as I've gotten older, I've become less and less concerned, I guess, when things aren't going exactly according to plan, because the track record has been that whatever's going to happen instead is going to be even better. So there's really no reason to worry about it.
makes sense, makes sense. Now, tell us about your business. What's your business? What's your impact? And how are you making the world a better place around you and around the world?
So right now I do a couple things primarily. I am not, we're in Greece on a type of visa that does not allow us to be employed in the Greek economy. We can work remotely
Sure.
for a US based company, but we can't work in the Greek economy. So I can't really see patients as a veterinarian in person in any official capacity in Greece. We, help neighbors and friends and stuff and answer questions and things like that, but I can't like work at a vet hospital. Um, so I do some telehealth where people have Zoom calls basically, and I can do somewhat of a physical exam visually. I can have them show me things. I can, look at their way the dog is breathing and whether their gums are pink and whether they're giving any body language that suggests that they're in pain and things like that. Um, and try to get a better idea of whether it's something that they need to be seen for in person. Is it an emergency? Is it something that maybe could wait a couple days till their regular vet is available again? So I do that. And then my primary focus right now, though, is I am running a program that teaches where I teach, it's an interactive small group program where I teach senior dog parents simple things that they can do at home to keep their dogs healthier and happier so that they can have more good quality time together. And I've been wanting to do this for years, and it's a lot of work to like create all of this curriculum and to host the calls and everything. And when I was working full time as a vet, I never had time to focus enough on it to really get it running. And so it's been really nice since we moved here to have the time to work on it. And I've had my first group of students go through, and I'm about to have my second group.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So tell us more about your program. How are you helping your clients? What's the main pain point you're solving for them?
The main pain point is that when you have a senior dog, it's really hard to know whether their quality of life is as good as you want it to be because they often, especially with senior dogs, the pain that they have, if they have arthritis, if they have periodontal disease, um, it's usually chronic pain in senior dogs, and that is much more subtle. It's not like when you step on a dog's foot by accident and they yelp and pull it away. They're very subtle signs.
Mm.
And so a lot of people just don't know what to look for. So I teach pet parents how to recognize early warning signs of pain so that they can get help for their dog when they need it. And also, there are many other aspects of quality of life that I think often get overlooked. And so I teach people simple interventions that they can do to improve their dog's quality of life in those areas.
What kind of simple interventions?
Um, well, for instance, my favorite supplement. So the supplement industry is enormous now. There are, innumerable supplements available for dogs. It's hard to know what's worth giving, what's not worth giving. Um, Many dogs, probably most dogs, benefit from being on a liquid fish oil supplement because the omega-3 fatty acids are anti-inflammatory for pretty much all cause inflammations, whether you have arthritis or skin inflammation or kidney disease or cognitive dysfunction or whatever cause wherever in your body you're experiencing inflammation, omega-3s will reduce that. Most people, even if they're giving a fish oil supplement to their dog, are not giving them a therapeutic dose of the omega-3s. So that's one thing that I talk about fairly commonly is just having your dog on a good liquid fish oil supplement.
Awesome. So you mentioned that you're not technically allowed to work at a hospital or start your own clinic in Greece. Do you think that can be what is it? An important factor that's going to make you look at other locations for long-term stay, or that's not an issue for you?
I think it's probably not an issue. I really enjoy the teaching that I'm doing.
Mm.
I'm enjoying the program that I'm running a lot. I actually, I thought I was going to like it. I like it a lot more than I even thought I was going to. I've really enjoyed teaching it. Um, and we always have the option of flying back to the United States. We've been talking about doing that actually, taking turns, maybe once or twice a year. We could each fly back for a couple weeks, visit family, visit friends, work a few relief shifts at some of the hospitals we've worked at previously. And so,
Mhm.
maintain our clinical skills and be able to see patients.
Have you looked at other locations as potential bases for you guys in the future where you can legally work and maybe open your own clinic?
We haven't really seriously considered other locations. If we're here for our current residency permit is, I think it's a 3-year permit, and then we can renew it in 3 years. And then after that, I believe we can apply for Greek citizenship, and then we would be able to work in the Greek economy. So I think we're more likely to apply for citizenship and work as vets here than we are to try to move somewhere else. Although it's possible.
Mhm. Have you picked up any Greek language?
Only Ligo. Very little Greek. It's a beautiful language. It's a difficult language.
Yes,
Um, so we're learning, but it's very much a work in progress.
sure. Are you taking classes?
Not yet. We've been talking about getting a tutor. Right now we're mostly working online. We're using Duolingo. There is another app that we use, and there are some people on TikTok and Instagram that teach Greek. And we have some friends that are Greek, so we try to use our Greek as much as possible with them. Um, but yeah, we haven't taken in-person classes yet.
You have any Greek background or no connection to Greece? You just fell in love with the place?
Yeah, none of our family is from Greece at all. It was somewhat random how we ended up here on vacation years ago that led us to moving here. And yeah, we just loved it. We just loved the country.
So your kids are in school age, right?
Mhm.
Are they going to to local Greek schools or international schools?
So because we moved in the middle of the school year,
Ah,
they finished the school year with an online program last year. And then we were discussing enrolling them in Greek school this fall. I had hoped that they would learn Greek a little bit faster than they are. So um, their Greek is not at the point where they could go to school in Greek. So we are considering actually moving closer to Athens because we're on an island right now and there are no international schools on the island. And if we move closer to Athens, then we could still live on the coast, but we could take them to an international school.
that reminds me in a way my story because I was 14. My family moved from France to Canada. And I moved to Canada. I didn't speak a lick of English. So they put us on purpose in an English school so we can literally learn English that first year. That was the main focus.
Hmm.
Some classes were in French, but only just one class. And honestly, that was the best thing my parents did for us because we had no choice. We had to literally learn that it was do or die.
Okay.
Maybe that's something that can, especially if your kids are young. I was 14, so I don't know how old are your kids. Because when they're young, that's when they really learn the fastest.
Yes.
Just
Our
throw them in the
youngest
fire, so to speak, and let them swim.
Our youngest is 6, and we are considering sending her to Greek school. I feel like she's the most likely to become
Yeah.
fluent the fastest out of all
Mhm.
of us.
Mhm.
Um, our 9-year-old isn't sure what she wants to do, and then our 12-year-old and 14-year-old are pretty sure that they would like to go to international school.
Yeah, makes sense. How is it interacting with the Greeks? I mean, say a better question would be how friendly are the Greeks, especially when you may not be able to speak with them in Greek, and I don't know how is their English levels. How are you guys communicating? Is it easy to, basically the question is it easy to make real friendships with the locals?
So one of the reasons we moved here is that our experience with Greek people has been that they are incredibly welcoming and open and kind and friendly. Um, I feel like my experience in the US has been that people tend to sort of stay in their little clusters of friends that they've had for years and not really, be as interested in branching
Mm,
out. And here, everyone is just incredibly friendly and
mm.
welcoming. We've only been in this location. We lived elsewhere in Greece for the first few weeks we were here. So we've been here for about 6 months, and we have a more active social life in Greece than we did in the United States, where we lived our entire lives.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can definitely see that. Now, how long were you marinating with the idea of moving and moving for good from the US, taking your family, and with all the implications, you and your husband leaving your careers, your kids, just the schools and the friends and all that. And how long were you pondering on that? And the decision, was that a specific moment that made you realize, hey, this is it, we need to leave, or was it something more crescendo?
It was a specific moment. So the first time we went to Greece, I had been there years ago on vacation. Um, Actually, technically, that's how I met Micah. I had taken Lusa to the vet. The reason I was taking her to the vet that day was she had a little bump on the back of her right hind leg. And I thought it was like a little cyst or maybe even a small mass. And I'd been keeping an eye on it, but I was going to be in Greece for a couple weeks. And so I wanted to get it checked out before I left. And so I took her to the vet. That was the day that they made my appointment be with him, even though I said no. And it turned out to be actually, she was a rescue she had been a stray. She was picked up off the streets and someone had shot her with a BB gun. The skin had healed over the BB. So she had a little pellet, a little metal pellet in the back of her leg, but it was just under the skin. It wasn't causing her pain or anything. So we ended up, it was basically inert. It wasn't hurting her at all,
Hmm.
not to put her through surgery to remove it unless it started bothering her, which it never did. Um, but I had gone to Greece on vacation and loved it. And then in 2022, we came to Greece for the summer because at the time we were going to the Jersey Shore for our summer vacation. We would go for 2 weeks. We would rent a house near the beach, take the kids to the beach every day, go to the boardwalk, do all the beach things. And we would bring our dogs with us. And it was really hard to find a rental that would let us bring our dogs. So in 2021, I was looking ahead at the next summer to see, if there was a rental nearby that I could arrange. And it was going to be so expensive to rent a house there for 2 weeks that I thought there's got to be somewhere cooler we could go than the Jersey Shore. And it turned out that we could go to Greece for the entire summer for the same amount of money we would have rented a house in New Jersey for 2 weeks. So that was what we did.
So I'm curious, how much would have been 2 weeks in over there
At the Jersey Shore, it was going to be somewhere between $5,000 and $6,000 to
for
rent a
two
house for two
weeks?
weeks. Mhm.
Pocket change, pocket change. I'm joking. Of course, I'm joking. That's insane. Yeah, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, that's something that one of the main reasons people move is to not only the cost of living, but also, for example, for me, living here in Asia, I live at a fraction of the cost of what I would spend in Canada. It's not just about saving a buck, but it's about drastically elevating the quality of the lifestyle. And most importantly, not even reducing, but completely eliminating all stress. Like in Canada, 50% of everything you earn goes to the taxman. You don't even see it. 47 to 52%. On top of that, everything is becoming now absurdly expensive. And the weather, you know it, it's not the best for 8 months of the year. You're freezing your bones. And so one of the reasons more and more people are looking to leave is because of that. So for you, what would you say to other families that may be getting disillusioned with the way the US, Canada, or Western world is being going, to think about, hey, the grass has to be greener on the other side. And for them to start looking overseas, just like you've done. What would you say to those people?
I would say So actually, I never finished answering your last question, which
Oh,
ties into this. The specific, so we loved spending the summer here. We didn't want to go back to the United States, but we had jobs, the kids were in school, we had our house, like all this stuff. We had to go back. So we went back and started thinking about, is there a way we could move there permanently? And one day, probably, let me see, we moved here in January, probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago now. I was driving to work. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning. The sun was barely up. I was on the highway listening to a podcast. And it wasn't even the podcast I wanted to listen to. It was just what was like next in the autoplay. And I wanted to skip it, but I was driving and I didn't want to be on my phone while I was driving. So I was like, whatever, I'll just listen to it. And luckily I did, because the person who was being interviewed had done the same thing. He had moved, I think he moved to Bali, but he had moved outside the United States. And he said the trigger for him was realizing that if he did it, if he moved and started his own business and started this new life and it didn't work out, the worst case scenario was that he would have to move back to the United States and get a job. And that was his current reality. And I was like, oh my God, he's completely right. The worst case scenario is life right now. So if we move and it doesn't work out, we'll just come back and go back to our jobs. It's, we'd be crazy not to at least try it. And so that's what I would say to other families. It's so much less scary. It's complicated. There's a lot of paperwork and logistics. I'm not going to say it's easy to just pack up your family and move halfway across the world, but it's so much less scary and difficult, I think, than a lot of people, especially in America, feel like it's going to be. And just try it. If it doesn't work out, you can always come back.
do you see this? Goosebumps. Exactly. Exactly. What is the worst that can happen? Go back home, stay with family, even stay for a week or two in a spare bedroom or basement, get a job. Hey, if that's the worst, what are you waiting for? You have nothing to lose. And everything to gain, just
Exactly.
like the cheesy line, nothing to lose, everything to gain.
Oh,
Wow. Listen, that's a fascinating topic. If you're open to it, I would love to do an entire episode, part two, just on that alone, the relocation and all that, the challenges, the benefits and all that, because that's something that I'm incredibly passionate as well. And more people are, I wouldn't say awakening, but becoming open to that idea. Like last time, I just came back from Canada in August. I was there for 3 weeks. After a week, I was bored myself because most people have jobs during the week and I would only see them during the weekend. And also, a lot of people were asking me, so how are you doing it? Because they're sick and tired of, paying to the nose for substandard products or services. Like the first day I got there, I went to my older sister's house, me and my two sisters. I just ordered some basic lunch for the three of us, $97 for three people. $18 with just the taxes. No, sorry, not 18. $18 with the delivery fees, taxes. Just the tax and delivery was about $25, $30.
wow.
I said, and each time I go there, I have one question to everyone. Says, how are you guys making ends meet? When you go to the stores and all that, I was like almost horrified by the prices.
Yeah.
So if you open that, I'd love to do a second part just on that alone, because that's a fascinating subject. And if that can be the positive trigger to someone else, just like that podcast did to you, for you on that drive that morning, that would be beautiful. That would be a beautiful gift for these people. If you're open to that, I'd love
Yes.
to do a second part just on that.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that sometime.
Awesome, awesome. Let's do that for next week or the week after. But
Okay.
for now, let's start to wrap things up.
Mhm.
If someone wants to connect with you, what's the best way to do so?
It would probably be to find me on either Instagram or Threads.
Okay.
I'm at Senior Dogs Golden Years on both. There's a period between each word. I can give you the handle if you want to put it in the show notes.
Yes.
I'm on Threads most days. I'm on both most days. So yeah, they could find me either place. That's probably the easiest.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Listen, Angela, absolutely fascinating conversation, not only because of what you're doing, but also you. took the courage, the bull by your own, so to speak, and up with your family from the comfort of the Philly area, tropical, beautiful Philly area, to the beautiful beaches of Greece. I salute you, cheerleader with a heart. Keep shining your light, keep blessing the world with your presence, your impact, your smile, and your gifts of helping those senior dogs, especially helping them diagnose ear infection, because that's an amazing gift. And keep being you and keep enjoying yourself and keep making the world a better place, one dog at a time.
Thank you so much. I will continue doing that.
Very welcome. My pleasure's all mine. So have a fantabulous day, and very much looking forward to part 2. Take care.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to it too.
Very welcome. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Payman.
Bye.